Hello and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. Today I am going through a blog post that I have recently published, either today or in the last couple of days, not sure, pre-recording this video. This blog post is a letter to authors who are looking to promote their books to readers with the help of book bloggers, and I do believe a lot of this applies to looking for the help of book YouTubers, booktubers, so I thought I'd put it here as well. If you would rather read this, or if you'd like to go to the article after to get some more specific information, review it, that kind of thing, I will have it linked in the description and in the pinned comment. So if you are discovering this video, you'd know nothing about me. I am an aspiring author, I am a freelance editor, but beyond that, I have been involved in web design and in social media outreach for the better part of the last 2 decades. Since late spring, early summer of 2020, I have been hosting blog tours and independent agreements with artists. I have been hosting blog tours and also posts by independent contact authors and their publicists, that kind of thing, on my blog. So this is a blogger slash booktuber's opinion perspective on what authors should and shouldn't do to market their books to readers, specifically to readers. We're not talking about publicists or agents here. Social media presence. You do need to have one. If you are not yet big enough to pass that off to somebody who's working for you or somebody who's doing it out of the kindness of their heart who you trust, you need to be on at least one platform. You need to be interacting with your audience. It can be any platform you want. It doesn't have to be all of them. You don't have to be on every day, but pick one and actually do some interaction. If you're only going to pick one, I strongly recommend Twitter. It is text-based, it is active, it's fun, it's easy to connect with other people and grow your platform. Beyond that, Facebook and Instagram are probably the other 2 best choices. So what do I mean by actually connecting with your audience and outreaching? What I mean is, don't only advertise your book. By all means, join share threads, make posts about your book, join hashtags about sharing books. That's a valid method to get your book in front of a whole bunch of eyeballs. But if that's all your account is doing, you are just advertising. You're not a person to other people. You are an advertisement. You need to join the conversation on other things. Just look through your feed for some things. Follow other people. Look through your feed. See what people are talking about. Join the discussion. A reader shares your book, posts about it. Go reply. Say thank you. That kind of thing. Maybe ask the community some questions. Definitely, if you're on Twitter in particular, learn to use hashtags so that your posts get seen by the right people, get seen by people who are following popular and relevant tags. Video platforms like this, like YouTube, like TikTok, they're great as a secondary platform while you are working up, while you're building an audience. These platforms take a long time to grow on. The algorithm is constantly changing. I've had this channel we're gonna be going on 3 years in May, and I haven't broke 2K yet. I am still at 1.2 something. YouTube won't say so in such succinct words, they're not going to admit it, but really they don't promote channels that don't have at least 10,000 subscribers. On TikTok, if your video doesn't get thousands of views per hour, it's not going to get recommended for very long. Maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then the algorithm has forgotten and moved on. And then the algorithm, it's forgotten about it, it's moved on, you don't exist anymore. If you can successfully build up a channel, that is a great way to keep your audience engaged, and eventually there will be discovery there, and it will be a great way to build your audience further. But it's not the place to start. Pinterest is a great way to catch attention and drive traffic to your main website if you know how to use Pinterest. It is a steep learning curve, it is a daily grind, and I don't do it very much. LinkedIn is a professional networking site, or at least that's what it was meant to be. It is not just another Facebook, it is supposed to be a place to connect with colleagues, share your resume, look for jobs, that sort of thing. That is where you go to network with your agents, with your publicists, with other authors, with publishing houses, that sort of thing. That's not where you're going to find your reader. Don't use that as your main social network. Don't use that as a place to send your reader to get more information. Next, let's talk about your website. You need one. This is your main hub. This is something that you control. Your Facebook page is not your website. Your Twitter profile is not your website. Your YouTube channel landing page is not your website. These are little pages that a bigger platform is letting you put out. They control how you arrange your stuff, they control what you can put on there, and they can shut it down and take it away. And if that's all you've ever had, you have lost your connection to your audience. You need something separate. It is free and easy to get an account on WordPress or Blogger. These are blog hosting platforms. They are not social media platforms. They're not going anywhere. And you get to build a website with blog functionality, which is a bonus. If you choose to spend money on your website, have a domain, host privately, have a fancy design, have a fancy layout, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to. A minimalist layout on a WordPress or Blogger subdomain is perfectly fine and acceptable. What is the cat doing? Your website should have your social media links on it. Those should be on a part of the website layout that doesn't change from page to page, such as the header or the footer. Most blogging platform themes will have options for that. If you don't put them in those places, make sure it's at least on your contact page or your about page. Make sure that the menu links on your website are easy to find and include a link back to your home page. In terms of design on your site, like I said, you don't need to pay for a fancy design. Something minimalist and free is perfectly fine. What you do need to keep in mind is accessibility features. Make sure your font is readable. Don't choose something super calligraphy scripty for your main text. You'll notice on my blog I do use it for the actual layout image text, but none of the actual text is fancy like that. It's all just a regular serif font. Make sure the text size is big enough to be read clearly on a small screen like a cell phone. Make sure you have high contrast. Dark text on a light background, light text on a dark background, not light on light or dark on dark, not neon on neon. Never, ever, ever do what the sleazy, scammy link farm listicle websites do and make the background of your website a link to something else. People who do a lot of navigating with their keyboard need to be able to click off so people who do a lot of navigation on their keyboard need to be able to click off so that their cursor is not focused on anything. And if there is no safe place to click, they're going to get frustrated and they're going to leave your website. In terms of pictures, if the picture is a text banner, if you have an image instead of text for a header, that kind of thing, make sure that the alt text or the caption on the image reads out what it says. Otherwise, it is a good idea to have a descriptive alt text or caption on it. This is so that blind or visually impaired users who are using screen reading software can know what the image says or is of. Similar note, on Facebook, you may have noticed that you have options to put fancy, colorful backgrounds on your text, on your status, to change the color of your text, to add little images and stickers and stuff to it. Don't do that. Screen readers can't read that. Another note on images, make sure that you are not hot linking and make sure you have permission to use the images you are using. Hot linking is when you have an image showing up on your website and you have used the URL, the address bar text, from wherever you found it, rather than saving it and uploading it to your own website. If your page is displaying an image that is currently hosted on somebody else's website, then when your page loads with that image, you are using up their bandwidth, their traffic limits. If you know the difference between making a link on your website that just opens the page as is, or a link that opens the next page in another window or another tab, then this message is for you. Links within your site from one page to another those should open in the same window. Links off-site, even if it's going to your social media platform, should go in another window or another tab. This is so your viewer can easily and quickly get back to your website. If they're on your website, go into another page on your website and that's constantly opening in other tabs, that's annoying, they're going to leave. Pro tip, if you are using WordPress and you are trying to link back to somebody else on WordPress, link to a specific post that they made. A post, not a page. If you are linking back to a WordPress site, WordPress will try to create a pingback. If comments are turned on and pingbacks are allowed, what that is the page or post you have linked to will have a new comment that says that this page was mentioned on, and it will link to you. Most people have comments enabled on their posts, but not necessarily on their pages. Your best bet is to do it on a post. It provides a link to you on their comment section, and it gives them a notification that you mentioned them. Moving on to blog tours and your media kit. If you are looking to market your book through blogs or through YouTube channels, it's a great investment, if you can afford it, to hire a company or an agent who will arrange this for you, arrange a tour, talk to channels and blogs for you, that kind of thing. The reason that this kind of marketing is great is because all of those bloggers, all of those YouTubers, they have their own motivation to make sure as many eyes as possible come and look at or watch their thing. And when their thing is promoting your book, they are working for you. You're probably doing it for free. If what they're trying to get everybody to come look at is your stuff, they're working for you. They're working hard. They're doing it for your book. Each tour company is different, but for as much as you are able to control what goes in the media kit that's sent off to the bloggers or YouTubers who are going to be working with you, these are some things to keep in mind, some requests from somebody who has done a whole lot of these book tours at this point. We aren't being paid for this, usually. The company is being paid because they are the big boss who's managing all of it. They might be offering incentives to the bloggers, but you can guarantee that the bloggers are not all being paid, and certainly not on a regular basis. Because of that, we are looking for other ways to make money, and an Amazon affiliate link is probably the easiest way to incorporate a chance at monetization on our blogs. Don't be offended when we turn your Amazon links into our own affiliate links. They still go to your blog, and we're going to work really hard to make sure that people click on those. If you want us to talk about other books other than what the post or video is actually for, please include the cover images in the media kit. URLs, the address, be complete and be consistent. Some media kits I have gotten have a complete URL for the web page and for the Facebook profile and just a handle for the Twitter, and mentions the fact that there is a Goodreads profile. No. Give full URLs for all of it. Start with the HTTP. If you can use HTTPS, do so. All social media platforms do that. And if your website can't, you should look into that. The S means there's a security certificate in place. Look into getting a free SSL certificate. If you are hosting on WordPress, or on Blogger, that should already be in place. If you are privately hosting, your tech support people can help you with that. If your blog and or your newsletter are pages on your main website or prominent links on your main website, you do not need to include those links separately in your media kit. We will be linking to your website. The people who are likely to go and read your blog and to go and sign up for your newsletter are already clicking through to your website. They're already looking for those things. If they're not going to click through directly from my post either. Referring back again to that social media stuff and what's appropriate for attracting readers, don't send your LinkedIn profile for me to link in your media kit. Your readers don't care. If you are going to have a book listed on BookBub during the tour or at the time that I'm making the post or the video, then sending your author page on BookBub is a great link to include. If you're not, and that's just going to be the exact same photo and bio blurb as what I have included, and then nothing, don't include it. That's a waste of a click. If you have an actual author profile page filled out on Amazon, please do send that link. Sometimes Amazon doesn't actually link to your author page from your book listing. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The reason I know this is because sometimes as I was going along to all the book listings on the .com, the .ca, the .uk, getting my affiliate links, I tried to get to your author page, and it just went to a search page. I thought you didn't have one, and then I got further through the media kit and you did have one. Sometimes Amazon lies to me, so make sure I see it. Include that. A note on your author photo, your author image, if you're sending that in your media kit. If you don't send one, fine, ignore this point. If you use a logo or something like that, fine, ignore this point. WordPress and Blogger, which are the platforms book bloggers are going to be using, they restrict us to either leaving an image in a rectangular format or masking it into a circular format. So look at how your picture looks on Goodreads or on Facebook or on your Twitter profile. Make sure you're happy with that and send that photo. Now let's move on to talking about dealing with bloggers or YouTubers who are going to do reviews for you and contacting those people individually. Before you make contact, make sure you have reviewed their YouTube about page or their blog's review policy, contact page, that kind of thing. Make sure you know if they're accepting, make sure you know how they want to be contacted, make sure you know what their name is, make sure you know that they actually do handle books of your book's category. If all of those things are okay, go ahead and send that email, make contact, send an individual personalized email, address them by name. Do not send a form message that's very impersonal. Do not mass send to multiple creators at once. On that last point, you may be accidentally creating a situation where when those creators are replying back to you, they're replying to all and spamming each other. But beyond that, it looks lazy and impersonal and it's kind of insulting, and you're going to get a lot of people just ignoring you. Keep track of who you've contacted. If we actually responded, we've had an interaction with you, we remember. If you send we've never talked before, hello, look at my book, kind of email again, after we've already talked, you don't remember that you've talked to us, we no longer want to work with you. This is especially bad if we've already accepted your material. Yes, this has happened. Don't start your first query email with requesting more information about how to get a feel. Don't start with, how do I go about getting a guest post on your page? More information, who should I contact? Sound like you've read our information, sound like you're familiar with us. Do not just outright send your ebook file when you're contacting us first and we haven't responded yet. That's really pushy, that's really presumptive, and it takes up space in our inbox. It's also more likely to accidentally go to spam. Never, ever, ever ask somebody who you want to promote you and review your book for free to purchase your book. If you open by sending me an Amazon link with no context, I'm not responding. I do not need to pay you for the privilege to work for you. This may sound harsh, but keep in mind, people who review books, people who are passionate about books, there are so many ways to get access to free books in exchange for a review. I have done blog posts and reviews on this. I will link them. We are working for you for free, probably. People who have got to a point where they can demand a fee for this, they probably deserve more than what they're asking, but most of us are working for free. We are helping you sell your book. We are promoting your book. We are helping you get in front of the eyes of readers. We are selling you to readers. Your purpose for contacting us is to get help marketing your book to a wide net of potential readers. You're not just trying to sell to this one person and move on. Do not try to send money as a bribe to ensure that our review is positive. That is sleazy, that is dishonest, That is a sure way to make sure that I don't review your book at all. Things to keep in mind when the blogger or booktuber accepts your request to do a review. First of all, you need to send the book and any sort of media kit information you want that person to have. If you are able to send a physical copy, everybody's gonna jump for joy at that. We love that. That's cool. If you can't, we understand. It's expensive. You're trying to reach a lot of people. It's okay. Let's talk format. If you are sending a graphic novel, a comic book, a children's storybook, something that has a lot of pictures, send that thing as a PDF. Our e-readers can't handle it. If you are sending a regular print book, a novel, if you're sending a novel, try your best to send it as a properly formatted ebook, as a Mobi, as an EPUB, because we can convert PDF to those files, but there will be strange artifacts left behind. Page breaks in a PDF become random line breaks wherever they happen to fall on an e-reader. If you sent your printing PDF, the one with the huge margins with all of the cut markers, the conversion process is going to think that those are all images. That's not good. Certainly do not send an editable Word document. That's not secure for you, that is a huge file for us, and we can't put it on anything without a lot of effort. If you have sent a physical copy, it is absolutely appropriate to check in after an appropriate amount of time to make sure that the person you sent it to received it. That's just good practice. And if it's been too long, maybe they forgot. Maybe they needed the reminder. We're busy people, we're human. If you and the blogger or YouTuber did not agree on a specific deadline to get the book read and reviewed, you can check in once or twice. Some will be more receptive to that. Don't badger anybody. If the blogger or booktuber actually started your book or read it all the way through, but has decided that they cannot favorably review your book, and they decide that they're going to be kind to you and not review it, not put that review out, take it and go. We're doing you a favor. Don't demand a low-rated review that you don't actually want to go out. Some people will put it out anyway. Some people will not finish and be kind to you and not put it out. Individuals are individuals. If the person who is reviewing your book didn't like it and chose not to put the review out, probably a good thing. In cases where the blogger or booktuber has declined to review your book, that's okay. You probably still have options. There are other ways to get people, particularly the bloggers, to help promote your book anyway, even if they're not going to review it. You can follow up with this if you get the decline. You can include this as alternates in your initial ask. You can ask or spot in a video where they just throw up your media kit and move on. You can ask to be interviewed by this person or even provide a pre-written interview. You can ask to do a guest post or a guest video segment. There's lots of options. Most of us are happy to work with you even if we're not going to review the book if you ask for those options. If they still say no, accept it and move on. There are lots of people to work with. If the blogger says no because they're busy, they are. We have a lot of opportunities. Some of us are almost literally drowning in review copies. If they say that they're not the ideal audience for your book, they're not saying your book sounds horrible. They're saying your book doesn't sound like something they will enjoy and review favorably. Don't take offense, just move on. If you haven't heard back from a blogger who you contacted, it's possible that it's a no and they don't know how to say it. It's also possible they forgot to respond or that their spam filter ate it. If it's been a reasonable amount of time, it's okay to send that request 1 or 2 more times. If you're requesting on a weekly basis, you are wasting your time and you're being ignored. Possible reasons for a decline. As I mentioned, they might be drowning in books. Your book might not be a good fit for them and they're doing you a favor by not putting us all in a situation where they feel obligated to write that review even though they didn't end up enjoying it. Maybe you sent a preview snippet of your book and this person read it and found that they wouldn't continue reading. Maybe it's just not for them. Maybe it's very poorly edited and you need to go back and deal with that. More rare, and not all bloggers, not all booktubers, there may be a case where your cover image is the problem. It might be a case that it's bad. It might be a case that it's not something that they're comfortable displaying on their blog or on their channel. Maybe because it's graphic or too lewd. That's going to depend on the individual blogger or booktuber It's not a reflection on you. If it's because your cover image is really bad quality, maybe you should address that. If it's because your cover image is too graphic or too lewd, that's probably genre specific and you've probably contacted the wrong person. A few other things to keep in mind. If you request or push for completely honest, spare no feelings feedback, either privately given back to you or you request for the review to be that brutally honest, don't be offended when the reviewer obliges. We're not trying to hurt you, we're not attacking you, we're giving you what you asked for. If you don't like it, ignore it. You don't have to take it to heart. You can just move on. If you decide to react angrily, aggressively, abusively, you're just burning a bridge. If a blogger or booktuber originally agreed but has to back out, please accept that we are all human and that life happens. If you accept this gracefully, you are leaving the door open to possibly have that working connection again. Maybe get this happening some other time. Don't pester for it right away if that person had something come up, but the door is probably open. You are also free to not respond ever. If you reply angrily, aggressively, abusively, you're burning a bridge. Keep in mind that the internet is full of creeps and there are a surprising number of people on Goodreads who think that they're on a dating platform. If you start your messages, your contacts with bloggers and YouTubers with affectionate terms like dear or sweetie or beautiful, we're going to assume that you are the creep who thinks that Goodreads is a dating platform and we're going to ignore you. We understand that in some cultures, at some ages, in some generations, some of those words may just be appropriate things to say to a general person, particularly somebody younger than you. Okay, fair? Consider who you're talking to. Consider the fact that this is the internet. And finally, if you are thinking about contacting me to promote something, you've gotten all the way through this, and you are not an author or working on behalf of one, I don't know why you've sat through all this. Please don't. On my blog, I am only working to promote books and authors. Here on this platform, I am doing books on Mondays. I am doing art on Wednesdays and Fridays. I don't do other stuff. I am not your person. If you're looking for more to watch, I've got some suggestions up on the left side of the screen now. Don't forget to like, comment, maybe even subscribe, and if you like living life creatively, whatever that means to you, I'd love to have you along for the ride. Bye, guys!